Coming to you live from Wedding Planning Central. So I'm planning this wedding. We're getting married on Monday, and today is the last day before the kids arrive. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I am being influenced by Uranus right now in a really big way. And the challenge that's on offer to me is align with spirit on this day, and you will find yourself doing, hi Tanisha, you will find yourself in alignment with spirit. If you try to control Uranus, you're just going to be disappointed. It's like the essence of the unpredictable. But if you just go with the flow, everything's going to be okay. So, how do I know that Uranus is my planet today? And how am I working in alignment with it? So, I've been experimenting around, and I had a birthday in August. And I've talked about this before. You just experiment with like writing down the first 7 days. What is the general energy of today? And I practically journaled every day, and it was actually really fun. But that is a resource for me to look back and see how is my Mercury day? How is my Mercury energy this year? How will all Mercury days kind of be for me? What are my challenges? Where can I excel? So the day of the week that your birthday, your last birthday fell on is your Mercury day. So Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. So if your birthday was on a Sunday, all Sundays are Mercury to you. Today's your Jupiter day. You've already figured this out. That's fantastic. So there is a day based on your actual birthday. So I was born on a Saturday, but this year my birthday fell on a Sunday. So I'm working with, sometimes I sit back and I go, what are all the planetary influences today? What's the dance that's happening today? And that's fascinating if you want to go all the way into that. But, and then the cards, da 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 da. But to keep it simple for this video, oh, your birthday 8/4. Oh, okay. So 2 days before mine. Right. So today's your Jupiter, it's my Uranus. We're just 2 days different from each other. So, yeah, is today feeling expansive, overwhelming to you as a Jupiter vibration? So here's a little trick you can do. Look at your cards for this year. So I can pull out year 57 for myself and find out what all my descending and ascending cards are. What's my Jupiter card? What's my Saturn, etc. But because I feel like I'm on such a high timeline, I look at my descending hand and I'm like, that's just not what's going on today. That's not my Uranus vibration this year. And maybe there are days when I kind of dip down into a lower energy. It's like, oh, this is what I'm resolving. So, for example, look at my Venus, because on my Venus day, I had a meltdown with my daughter. My Venus cards, descending, King of Clubs, Eight of Spades. So issues of control, staying in my own truth, that resonates. And then I also look at the Nine of Hearts, Jack of Hearts, lessons in love, Three of Hearts, feeling pulled in two different directions emotionally. That's exactly what happened. And that was like, okay, go into the past. And we're doing a lot of retrograding right now. So the descending hand makes sense more now, maybe than ever. Yes, Stuart?
I want to steal your car.
Okay.
And I need address.
For Hill?
Yeah.
Okay, I can send that to you in a moment.
Right.
Okay. So, yes, the wedding planning. So those descending cards don't really resonate with me when I look at my Uranus day and I look at my ascending cards, and that resonates a lot more for me. Okay. But the ascending cards for Venus make sense too. So what I did is I figured out, okay, this is the ascending hand for 57. This is super complicated, so I'm not going to go into it, but based on figuring out the magic circle of cards going in the other direction, I'll just give you a little clue. My 57th year corresponds to age 31. And then when I turn 58, I will look at age 30. And I will find my ascending hand. So I've just kind of laid it all out there so I can just like look at, okay, what's Uranus? Look at all these. Which hand am I operating? Am I working in the past? Am I leaning into my potential? So, so yeah, my Uranus energies in the ascending is Jack of Clubs and Seven of Spades. So yes, when I align with that brilliance and the fun and taking it lightly, that Jack of Clubs in Uranus is it can be really fun. I mean, he in the spiritual spread, he sits in Uranus Venus. So in terms that way he can be so innovative as a lover. I'll just drop that in there. So he's fun, exciting, interesting. It's like find new ways, just open and let this happen in this unpredictable day. So that's why I'm making this video. There's the insane timing of this. It's like, why not? Which reminds me, do I have a reading today? Am I forgetting it? That'd be a Uranus thing to do. Okay. And the Seven of Spades is aligning with spirit. And it can be obstacles, but what I'm seeing today, the genius of it is that when, because it's the Jupiter of the Uranus line, it's about, wow, when I align with spirit, then I don't have to plan it out so much. Hi. God, every time I see your name there, I'm like, I'm like, what's your name? God, I'm so sorry. My Two of Spades buddy. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's kind of the essence of the Seven of Spades is that it can become a magical vibration. Okay. The magical vibration of the Seven of Spades, which happens to be for the Two of Spades, this is your ascending Uranus card. Oh my God. So let me ask you this. Here's part of that magic dropping in. We're talking about Seven of Spades in Uranus, and it is your ascending Uranus card in the descending spread, and it sits in that descending spread in the Jupiter Uranus conjunction. So, how to find success through letting go and aligning with spirit. Something may present as an obstacle, but if you say, oh, that's just spirit's direction, I'm just going to go here, go there. So, today, by making this video, it's like I'm acting on inspiration and I'm like, I really, really wanted to do this. So that King of Diamonds karma card to the Seven of Spades is saying, what do you really value? And how can that be the direction to take? So when you're under pressure and there's all these shoulds clamoring, the real question to ask is, what's the most important thing to me? And for me, it's like, yeah, all this stuff is going to get done, but I've made contact with a Three of Diamonds / Seven of Diamonds / Two of Hearts recently, and it's just one of these explosive connections. We're going to trade. She's probably going to watch this. So, hey, Three of Diamonds, she's going to do human design for me, and I'm going to do cards for her. And it's like there's just this seed bed of like fascination and information. And so she's like, so how's today for you? And I'm like, well, here's how I'm looking at it. There's the supermoon and all that, but here's what I'm feeling into day to day. Okay, here's my Uranus flow. How can I go with that this year? How can I really glean the lessons of how to deal with unpredictability? And man, the first Uranus day I had this year, it was just insane. It was like my mind was right here just outside my body and nothing was going to plan. And I sat in my car for about a half an hour trying to figure out where I needed to go and how and why I was going to mail these packages. And it was just insane. So, anyway, I would ask the Two of Spades in particular, do you find that that's a navigational skill that you have when you're really like you're working on all thrusters? You're doing well. Hi, yes, Claudio L, Eight of Clubs. I'm doing very, very well. I feel like since my birthday, I stepped out of a very difficult, challenging year, and not only have I stepped into a whole new thing in August, I feel like I'm operating on a higher timeline. So I'm driving around town and I'm like, oh, that building's different, and oh, that changed, and oh my God, that person said something to me they never would have over the last 6 years. It's like, so then expecting that I'm on a higher timeline makes me feel like I'm on a higher timeline, and then I manifest whether timeline things are real or not. I manifest like really good stuff. Look, today officially I surrendered to the fact that I'm gonna need my glasses all day today. So I'm officially the librarian. Not gonna say old lady. No. Um, where was I? Okay, it's Uranus. I'm gonna be a little do 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 do. So yeah, my two of spades friend, please type your name there because I can't believe I'm forgetting it again. Is it Elton? No, just kidding. Um, he feels like he's on a higher timeline too, and it's like, okay, maybe this is right now the timeline where everyone's on a higher timeline. We had this thought. I was like, Raymond, thank you, Raymond L. Okay, I had this thought that maybe it's not a linear timeline. Maybe it's like in this aspect of my life, I'm going to scooch over here to this vibration and I'm going to pump it up, and then these positive things will happen and I'll manifest it. Okay, so this guy named. So then Gene Decode the very next day said that exact thing. He said, your timeline is very customized to you. There are just infinite numbers of timelines. So it's another way to think about manifesting, but I prefer it because you don't bend the spoon, you bend yourself. You don't say, oh, I'm going to get on the perfect timeline. You go, I'm going to scooch over. So Ralph Ring, I highly recommend finding anything by him. I'd never heard of him. And that was another thing. I was like, I'm on a higher timeline because I don't think this guy is accessible in the lower timelines. Just look him up, watch the videos. The one with Project Camelot is okay, but there's another one where he really expounds into the spiritual, like he builds spaceships basically. Zero gravity, super advanced technology. Um, a couple years ago, I saw a video that he made, and he was obviously sort of slipping into dementia, but he and his wife were at a grocery store where they were out of their favorite fruit, lychee, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have any of that here." Kinda like, "We don't stock it." And they're like, "Of course you stock it." So his wife goes, "Of course you stock it. Look, I'm gonna find it right here." And she digs down into this fruit thing and she pulls it out like Jesus. She's like, "I'm manifesting this timeline right here, right now for me, for myself in this little bubble." So it's not, you don't have to think about changing it for the whole store. You're just like, here's my timeline. I'm going to just sort of scooch it, make room for it here. So we were at King Soopers, our grocery store, and I had been craving vegan whip. It's called True Whip, and it's really pretty affordable. And I love whipped cream, but it's not Cool Whip with all the chemicals. And so I'm like, I'm in my favorite my grocery store where I know they stock it, and I can't find it. Stuart also cannot find any frozen juice. And I'm like, what the hell kind of timeline is this? And I'm like, of course there's vegan whip here. So I start climbing and I look under the very top shelf. I'm in the freezer case, climbing up, and there's vegan whip in the back. I pulled it onto my timeline. So when you listen to videos like that, you get in the frequency of what they're talking about. Pause the video in those moments when you're like, I feel it, I know it, because you've recognized an energy signature, and then go into manifesting mode and be like, okay, I want to find a car that's just like this. Like I manifested a dress that way. I was like, I want sparkly brocade with sexy straps, but not like too sexy, because I was looking for a wedding dress. About 2 minutes later, I pulled into a place and I found that exact dress, except it was the wrong color because they didn't specify the color. It was just wild. So anyway, getting back to how to figure out your card. So what day of the week was your last birthday on? That was your Mercury. The next day is the Venus. The next day is the Mars. Da 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 da. Just up through Neptune. And I have noticed too that the Neptune days for me, it's not the dreamy thing, because the Neptune day, 7 days after my birthday this year, when I was taking notes on what the days were going to be like, there was an imprint of achievement, productivity. And every once in a while, this jumps into my Neptune vibration. And I see it in other people's too. And I'm like, is there something we don't see here, that Neptune can be about productivity? Maybe it's about idealizing or materializing a dream or something you've idealized. You're like, I want this. And then you see it and feel it so clearly with that Neptune lens that you manifest it. I don't know. But anyway, then you can look at your cards for this year and see how there's a correspondence there. And so it's a lot to look at. And what I'm looking at, so for those that have joined and didn't see this is the ascending hand, which corresponds to the 30th year. And someday I'll make a video on how to figure out what your ascension hand is. This, what you pull out of, the whole Robert Camp thing, this is only the descending hand for age 57. And I look it up for the 9 of hearts and the 7 of diamonds. So you would look it up for your planetary ruler. I don't have one because I'm a Leo, so but so I just wrote them all out so that I can say, okay, what energies am I working today on my Uranus day? And am I in an ascending mode or am I in the descending? So another word about timelines. You go to the timeline where you're needed and where you need to be. And even though our egos absolutely love, and my ego will continue to love to think, oh, highest timeline for me now. None of that lower timeline shit. Well, we're in retrograde, which means we get to resolve issues from the past. So with all this wedding planning, all this stuff came up between my daughter and I because she acts like my mom sometimes. She's an 8 of clubs. I'm the 7 of diamonds. I'm very kind of Uranian, unpredictable. She's very grounded and practical and like I need that. But she's got baggage around. I don't want to help you because you totally fucked up my childhood in this way. I'm like, can you just get over it? Because I really need your help. So I said to her one day, for the first time in her life and my life ever, I said, you are not a child. I've never said that to her because I'm always like, oh, inner child. So anyway, that was a chance to, we pulled out of it really fast. We processed it, we felt it. There were a lot of tears. It was heavy, da 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 da. But we pulled out really fast. But when I look at the descending hand of my Venus cards this year, it lines up perfectly. It's like, okay, when it gets sticky and I'm doing retrograde work, and guess what? Venus goes retrograde or goes direct the day before our wedding. It goes direct on the 3rd. So I'm like, but when I heard it was all retrograde now leading up to the wedding, I was like, well, just like, what can you do about it? Your higher self planned it this way. So there's a reason. Okay. Don't think of it as a shit show. Just think of it as an adventure. So that's all for today. I have to run off and do more planning shit. So it was really fun touching in with you guys. And seriously, do this. Write up this chart for yourself. Figure out the day of the week for you this year. Every Tuesday will be Oh, and I just have to say, every Tuesdays are Mars for me because my birthday was on a Sunday. So every Tuesday, and I don't think about this. I don't go, oh, it's Tuesday. It's Mars. I just wake up on Tuesdays and I go, I'm going to go for a jog today. That's right. I'm going to start jogging every day. But that's the gift of Mars. I don't jog any other day of the week. I've tried. But Mars gives me this gift of like, you're going to be really motivated and physically strong. And so I've written an affirmation. I'm physically strong this year. I'm mentally strong. I'm emotionally strong, whatever. And I am manifesting that, even if it's just one day a week. So, yes, so good to see you guys. I just love you. I was born on a Jupiter day, which is why I was working with that. Oh, okay. You mean Thursday? See, so okay, here's my question. I'm not quite done. Here's my question. Sunday is the sun. You figure them all up when you say them in Spanish. But guess what? There's one missing. And you have a Sunday and a moon day. But do you have, so there's lunes, martes is Mars, miércoles is Mercury, jueves, Thursday, Jupiter, viernes is Friday, Venus, sábado, Saturday, Saturn day. Okay, but there's no Neptune and there's no Uranus. So I was just kind of confused about that. So I don't know. I don't know what Robert Camp would say is the inherent, if there is like an inherent planetary energy to each day based on something. I don't know. You could probably say because January 1st was on a this is the general vibe for everybody this year in the world. It'd be kind of a universal energy. We could also look at the United States and say, what day of the week was July 4th? And how is that influencing us this year? I mean, it's, endless influences, but this is the most direct and personal and accessible and easy to work with. So, yeah, and I'm guessing, Raymond, that there's another reason you're working with Jupiter energy because of that little synchronicity we had about the Seven of Spades today being your ascending Uranus card, and it's Jupiter Uranus. So what's the best I can pull out of Uranian energy? What's the highest and best? That's how I would interpret that, and I would answer the Seven of Spades tells you go with the spirit, and the King of Diamonds says go with your deepest value system. What's really important to me. So that's all. Okay, I love you guys. We'll see you later. Bye.